I'm just gonna try to be concise, Um, but let's get into it. um, so there's a couple of breaking news articles this weekend. I don't know which one came first. I think it was the Wall Street Journal one came first. I could be mistaken, but there was basically two stories. So one broke through the Wall Street Journal, the other broke through the New York Times. And basically the story is that um someone working previously on Graham Platner's campaign, her name is Genevieve McDonald. She quit a long time ago. She's been like railing against Platner and railing against the campaign. She was trusted essentially by Graham Platner's wife with private information, private details that were confided in her about their marriage, basically. And the information that was confided, let's just be clear about this up front before I get to anything, any of my personal like kind of feelings or takes about this guy. What this woman did and her motivations for doing so is like not cool, right? Like she betrayed personal private information that was shared with her um by Graham Platner's wife, and she did it for I don't really know what reasons. I mean, she just like is on kind of like a revenge tour. Um and so I don't fuck with this woman. Let's just be clear about that. And like who's going to hire her for like a future campaign, right? Because she clearly is somebody that is like not to be trusted. I don't know why anyone would ever hire her again, why anyone would ever confide anything in her again. Like she's just kind of like made it clear that she's somebody that you cannot trust. So, that's obviously not not great. But the information is out now, so with that being said, we'll just kind of scan the article for the facts that were reported. Um So, days after Plattner announced his main Senate bid, his wife informed the campaign about a potential political problem she had previously discovered on the oyster farmer's phone: sexually explicit texts with several women, according to people familiar with the matter. Um, so, Amy Gertner, who is Plattner's wife, told the campaign about messages she found early in their marriage in the spring of 2025. I assume she was flagging the campaign to basically say, like, hey, this could be a potential source of like Oppo in the future, because even though my knowledge of these texts might be private information, like the women on the other end of them, you know, at some point could potentially come out and say like, "Hey, I texted or I sexted Graham Platter, he sexted me or whatever." I assume that's why she was bringing it up. Otherwise, there's not really much reason to share something so private, right? Um, but there's been, pretty yeah, a pretty robust like Oppo research campaign on Graham Plattner, so it does make sense that she would perhaps want to flag something like that. Um yeah, aides were conducting opposition research on their own candidate. Gertner disclosed the text to a campaign aide to make sure they didn't pose a risk to her husband's nascent campaign, those people said. That's when they were preparing for a rally over Labor Day weekend with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Oh, that's the one that I went to. I went to that. I actually drove up to Maine. I drove up to Portland, Maine, slept over my grandmother's camper so that I could attend this rally. Because keep in mind, at this time, last September, um, none of the like the Oppo stuff had come out yet. The tattoo stuff hadn't come out yet. None of that shit had come out yet. So I didn't really know much other than Bernie Sanders endorsed this person, and I thought that was pretty, you know, I thought that was pretty good. So I went to check it out. Um aides ultimately decided the texts were a private matter that was being handled by the couple in marriage counseling. So the rally proceeded as planned. Um, in a statement provided by Platner's campaign, Amy Gertner, this is Platner's wife, said she believed she was confiding in an aide she considered a friend. We did the hard work that marriage requires. We went to counseling. We were honest with each other in ways that weren't easy. And we came through it not in spite of how much we've been through, but because of how much we love each other and the life we've built. Our marriage today is stronger than ever before. I know who Graham is. I know the man I married and the husband he's been to me on the best and worst days of my life. That hasn't changed and it won't. So, another point to make here is that, Graham Platner's wife is a woman with agency, and she says that she's completely fine with the present status of their marriage, which of course is none of our business. Right? Like, this is not this sort of like private, information that was confided in somebody's not really our business. It wasn't meant to be our business. However, I'm going to make a point on it later that I still think it's important to make. Da, 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 da. So one of the revelations in this article, and it's not much, is that he has an active account on Kik, a popular private messaging app, where his profile shows a mirror selfie of him shirtless with a towel wrapped around his waist. Many of his tattoos are clearly visible in the picture. I actually found it, guys, and it's technically still up, so you can see it for yourself. This is kik.me/phustle0331. That's his username that he used for everything. He used that same username on Instagram back in the day. I know because I found a bunch of posts tagging him with it, but I think he deleted it because now whoever has the account, they changed the bio to vote for Susan Collins. So I don't think he has that Instagram anymore, but basically this is like a known username that he's used, and it looks like he hasn't deleted the Kik, which is kind of fascinating. One thing I find fascinating about this is that it covers up his Totenkopf tattoo, which is now removed, but at the time of this photo being taken was obviously still there. So I think it's interesting. You can see all of his other tattoos except for that one. But anyway. The account was created in 2016, which is another data point here. Besides this article is not really breaking much else. Those are the kind of the main points. But I guess he was talking to like about 6 or so women on Kik. Now, raise your hand, chat, if you've heard of Kik before. I guess 1's in chat if you've actually heard of Kik. 2's if you have not ever heard of Kik. Kik. Okay, a lot of people have heard of it. Well, okay, in that case, I'm curious to know, like, the context that you know about it or like what it makes you think of, because I feel like I might have yes, not Kik like the streaming platform, Kik the chatting platform, like the phone mobile app. Maybe you guys want to redo your answers because I think you thought I was talking about the Kik streaming app. I'm talking about Kik. It's a little bit different. Yeah, so I'll just tell you my knowledge of the Kik app. I know about it because I had a friend that was like a webcam girl, and she used to talk to me about everything and be like, yeah, like I was messaging this guy on Kik. I'm like, what the fuck is Kik? And she explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's where like all the guys from like that side of the internet I guess, are like talking to ladies and stuff. You know, maybe Byron Gnome, Ryan, what's his name? Is it Byron or Brian? Brian Gnome? Maybe Brian Gnome would know what it is. I have a feeling he might know what it is. My Shadow says it's gross and predatory. Forlorn says never heard of it, but did light research and well, yikes. Heard of it like Snapchat, never used it, says Lewis. PDF WhatsApp. Yeah. WhatsApp, but more debaucherous. Yeah, so you guys get it. You guys get it. So I do just want to like put a little bit of attention on that. Because it, look, there's a lot of points that are being made by people. One of those points is like, well, the person who did it has bad motivations. They're a bad person. Okay, that's fine. The other thing is like, okay, well, that's their marriage. It's not their business. I would say that is true. But now I have this information. I have this data. Like, my brain is not just going to filter it out and ignore it. Like, I'm sorry that this woman like told us this and we weren't supposed to know, but like now I do know, you know what I mean? And I'm like, it does shape my understanding of this person as I'm evaluating what I know and I understand about this person. It's continuing to paint a picture of somebody that like I don't think is a trustworthy person. Like, you can say, and many people are saying it, their marriage is, he was talking to like 6 to 12 women on Kick, sexting specifically. During the early days, and sorry, I don't think I was clear about this because I kind of skimmed the article, but let me just clarify. It was during the early days of their marriage. So it was not pre-marriage, it was during. It was just pre-campaign launch. So they kind of started ironing it out between each other at, you know, some point in time before the campaign was officially launched. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so what's frustrating to me is like, let's put aside the whole who should be voted for, who should not be voted for. Like, I'm not coming at this from that angle whatsoever. I'll give you my take on that, which has not changed since the beginning. My take hasn't changed on the voting aspect of this. But putting that aside, I understand that people are making the argument that this is like private, you know, information that's between Graham and his wife because it's like their marriage. But like, we know this now. I know this now, and it's just like it. If I'm being honest, it's like disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I think like this guy disgusts me, and you have to like understand that like if a person has a history of lying and cheating, that doesn't not apply to politics. Like, you don't get to just say that like, oh, well, that's their marriage, that has nothing to do with like politics. Like, yes, it does. You don't think character has anything to do with how a politician is going to be as a politician? It has everything to do with it, because somebody who is of a bad character, that applies to every aspect of their lives. If they're willing to hide things, if they're willing to lie, if they're willing to mislead, you think they wouldn't do that to you as a voter? You think they wouldn't do that in politics? Like, if he's telling his wife like, no baby, you're the only one, I love you, but he's sexing like 12 women, you think he's gonna tell voters like, no baby, like, trust me, I really want to pass Medicare for all, like, that he's not going to get into Congress and then start chatting up lobbyists? Like, I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm just saying like, you don't know, and it doesn't like paint a good picture. Like, this is not like the reason I really like Zoran Mamdani is because I think he has a good character. I think he's a decent person. I think he has a good character, and I can't imagine something like this coming out, and I have never seen anything like this come out. Every piece of oppo that they've tried to do on Zoran is just like, his wife is anti-genocide. It's like, ooh, wow, how terrible. Every piece of oppo on Graham Platner is like, yeah, he was like being racist against black people. He was saying women deserve to be raped, you know, for drinking too much. He was like, had a Nazi tattoo that he denied knowing about, but he actually told people that he knew about it, and then he got it lasered off his body, but like you know, it turns out he's also like a cheater and a liar, and like it's just like I don't like how it feels like I don't have the permission to say that like I don't like this guy and I don't like these things about him. And I understand that he's going to be a senator. He's going to be a senator. He's going to win. Like he is up by you know, he was up by double digits against Janet Mills. That's why she had to drop out. He will be the Democratic nominee. He's up above Susan Collins. Like, I don't think Maine voters care, for the record. In fact, they don't care. I can tell you for sure they don't care. I'm telling you that I care. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it should be okay for people to voice their thoughts about something without it being looked at as like you're being some kind of wrecker, or people like attacking you, or being like, why does this fucking matter? Da 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 da. It's like I just feel like we can't even like have conversations and we can't have disagreements anymore. And again, I'm speaking from a place of like discussing these things on Twitter, which obviously is an environment where like that shit is just like unfortunately like how it is, but it's people that are like in our community that have been participating in this. Like I saw a few women try to say something this weekend about it, and I saw them get dogpiled. And I mean, I'm talking about dogpiled by people that like I refer to for reporting. I don't really want to name names per se, because I'm not even trying to start some kind of shit, but it's like there was a lot of like leftist men who are high profile, high following, you know, high follower accounts, people that I refer to on this broadcast for their videos or their journalism or whatever, that were just like yelling at people, or saying nobody fucking cares, or like saying like caring about stuff like this is like woke 1.0. um and I that's a whole separate conversation that I kind of want to get into, but before I like get carried away, I'm just gonna like pause for a second, because um this is just something that's like really been fucking bothering me. Like the relationship that this guy's supporters have to him feels a lot to me like the relationship that Trump supporters have to Trump. And that's not the same thing as saying this guy is Trumpian himself. I'm saying the relationship feels similar, where it's like I'm legit wondering like if a news story could come out being like, yeah, this guy shot someone on Fifth Avenue, and I feel like a lot of like lefties would just be like, well, who the person that took the video is pro-Israel, so you know, like, okay, well, at what point do we address the substance of like what this guy is like doing? Like, can't we just agree that like he was a bad pick? That we recruited the wrong guy, but he's gonna be a senator anyway. Like is that not something that you can say? I don't know why you can't say that. Let's go back to what year was it that Fetterman got elected? I can't remember what year it was. 2020, I think, or maybe it was 2022. I don't know. I can't fucking remember the year. But let's just go back to that. Knowing what you know about John Fetterman right now, people didn't necessarily know that he was going to turn out to be an insane fucking pro-Israel shill. But like, let's say you were to go back in time, knowing what you now know to that moment, would it have changed the calculation? Because it was between him and Dr. Oz, right? And like, even if you could go back in time, you'd still be forced to choose John Fetterman, because Dr. Oz would literally be worse. Like, you can't always change what your options are in a congressional, you know, race. Like you have two options, and sometimes neither of them is great, and you just choose like the lesser evil, and it just is what it is. Like that's, to me, that's just like politics. And I feel a little bit like confused to see why people are taking politics so fucking seriously, that it's like your attachment to this guy is making you so mad that if I say something where I'm like disagreeing with you slightly, that you'll unfollow me, you'll block me, you'll get mad at me, you'll get like emotionally, like you're emotionally invested in it to this extent. Like that's what I'm not understanding about this, the dynamic around this guy. It's really fucking weird. And I just like, I needed to fucking say that because it was stressing me the fuck out this weekend to just like try to like have like a nuanced conversation about it. It's just not possible. It's just not possible to do. It's just not. And I think like, look, I understand. I understand. Like, we want to flip the Senate, of course. Of course, I want to flip the Senate. And by the way, if you're wondering, like, oh, well, you're supporting Susan Collins, no, 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 no. I still think like you should vote for Graham, in the primary. You know, not that it's really gonna matter because I think he wins the primary, but like definitely in the general, like between the two choices, like my choice from a voting calculation like hasn't changed. I think like it's still obviously better to like test, you know, what this guy is like, versus Susan Collins, which we already know what she's like, and she's horrible and she's evil. Like, do I think he'll be an improvement over her? Of course, that hasn't changed. But to say that like I still think that he's a flawed pick and he's a person that we can't trust is also valid to fucking say. Like, I can say that. And I am saying it. So there. Okay, now I'm gonna scroll up and I'm gonna read your chats. I do agree with that point. Yes, I think people drawing those distinctions is such an old way of thinking, very cover for the man permission structure. Yes, my shadow. Sombra, I don't think you're wrong. I agree 100%. So the main and the left are left with yet again another set of terrible choices. I hope he's really grown and changed. Listen, by the way, I don't think that Maine thinks that he's a terrible choice. I think that Mainers love this guy. So I'm just saying from my perspective that like for me, it would be, you know, like there are worse terrible choices I've had to make. Like I think obviously being between Susan Collins and a centrist is like an even worse choice. And like that, again, that's not something that's changed for me, but it's kind of like, yeah, but this guy isn't like the second coming of fucking Jesus Christ either. You know what I mean? Do. Yeah, it's fanaticism. I agree. He's a new strong male leader. Yes, there's a weird fanaticism around this man. Childesaro says, I think of a lot of it is how bad liberal IdPol was leveraged against Bernie in 2016 and 2020. Okay, but that's just fucking like immature. I'm sorry, but that's like, why does that have to be turned against me? Why does that have to be turned against your fellow fucking comrades? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck does like, I'm getting it. I feel like I'm getting it from both angles. I've been getting it from the libs for like 10 years, and now like it be your own people, you know, that just like don't let you fucking disagree. I feel like the leftists are acting like Democrats, where it's like, okay, it's not enough that I said to vote for this man, you also want me to cheerlead for him. That's the same argument that like I make against the Democrats. I'm like, I voted for Kamala Harris. Now you want me to like her too? You want me to internally in my heart and my soul to love Kamala? You want me to cheerlead her? Like, this is what you're saying that I'm required to do? You want to thought police me? Like, I'm saying I voted for her. I'm saying vote for Platner, but I'm also saying like I don't fucking like him and I don't fucking like her either. Shauna Black has been talking about concerns about Platner for weeks now. I completely agree with Shauna Black. By the way, I've seen his analysis and he has been on the fucking money. He's been identifying the same things that I've been identifying, which is just like the way that he lies and he evades and he doesn't actually take accountability. He says this guy is like a rhetorical fucking what's the word? I don't even think he's a mastermind. I just think that like a lot of people don't really pay attention to the specific language that people use, and they just hear the like the high level kind of concepts that they're saying and they miss the finer details. So like, you know, Platner will say like, oh, all these wars were wrong and Susan Collins was wrong for sending us to war and da 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 da. But then you actually ask him like, do you regret your role in what you did in the Middle East? And he's like, no, I'm actually proud of it. Like, okay. So, you know, or like calling going to Ramadi and Fallujah like an excellent time, like calling killing people excellent. And it's you know what it is? It's the fact that liberals are making the same arguments. And they just so happen to be right about a few of them, but they're not necessarily making the arguments for the right reasons, or they're not conceding some of the points that, like, I'm obviously conceding because I'm a leftist. And, like, yes, I think that running leftist candidates is good. I think that running progressives is good. I think somebody running against the establishment and running on Medicare for all and running on taxing billionaires and running in, like, on an anti-war platform is fucking good. And so when I criticize, I'm not coming from a place of having an issue with those leftist ideas. Liberals oftentimes are. But there's probably some amount of people whose concerns are, you know, valid and genuine because they're liberals. Like, you know, there's just like a knee jerk kind of reaction against what they're saying, and it feels like I know that to a lot of people it feels like helping the enemy, so to speak, to like validate anything that they might be saying. But the problem with that kind of thinking is that if something is objectively if they're objectively right about something, or, you know, if there's a substantive issue with the candidate, like, ignoring it is not really like a healthy way of going about things. I think we're just kind of now like adopting the tactics of our enemies to a certain extent, and I don't really think that that's a good thing. I think that that we should be able to speak about imperfect candidates, that we should be able to critique them and, you know, like have it be understood and distinctions be made between our own people and those who are acting in bad faith. Like, I did a whole video I posted on my social media about Jake Auchincloss, how, like, Jake Auchincloss saying like that people should basically vote for Susan Collins over Platner is fucking disgusting, because his only concern is the fact that, like, he's pro-Israel and Graham Platner is not. You know what I mean? And him suggesting that Susan Collins be allowed to win is crazy. That's not something that I'm saying. That's not something that I'm saying. And he's a man and I'm a woman, and Susan Collins voted to take away my rights. So yes, when the critique is coming from a liberal who's acting in bad faith, I don't take it fucking seriously at all. Fuck that. Fuck them. But I know where I'm coming from when I say that this guy seems like a fucking untrustworthy douchebag and possibly even a psychopath. It's a sticky situation, chat, that we found ourselves in. Especially since he's key to like flipping the Senate. Like, we just need to admit the dynamics. They're difficult right now. They're difficult dynamics. And sometimes things get messy. Sometimes things get difficult. And I think it's okay to just like be honest about it and describe the situation for what it is, and not try to be like in denial, you know, or gaslighting people, especially your fellow comrades, you know.